We're now recording on Zoom. Okay, Director Chapman, I just sent the panelist promotion.
It was very
Okay,
excellent.
Director Freericks, I'm sending you the panelist promotion.
I was stuck across and your wife?
Okay.
No,
I'm kidding. It was a joke.
I don't. I got to.
Mayor Steve Byrd. This is Melissa Hernandez. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I just wanted to say hi. I grew up in Dixon and my
Oh, did
sister's
you?
my sister's on the planning commission.
Okay, I saw the name and I'm looking
Lorraine
at you and go,
Hernandez, yeah.
"Boy, she does look like Lorraine." Very
Yeah, she's
very
older.
nice. Oh, of course, of course.
Can Steve Byrd hear me? He can? Steve Byrd, Bruce House,
Yes.
Shelf Vice Chair.
Hi, I can hear you.
Kelly Huff says hello.
Oh, okay.
I work with Kelly a lot, so we were having a conversation on my way down to Oakland this morning.
Okay,
She
all
said
right,
hello to you.
all right. Hello back.
Ask if he's there. Good morning, Director Cohen. Are you with us? I see that you were promoted as a panelist. I just wanted to make sure that you were there.
I am here.
Okay, wonderful. Yes.
Good morning and welcome to the 141st board meeting for the Capital Corridor Joint Powers Authority Board of Directors. Please note today's meeting is an in-person meeting in the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit Boardroom. And we have an option for participation by teleconference. Please note that board members participating via teleconference are all doing so in locations posted 72 hours in advance. You can download the agenda and presentation materials at www.capitalcorridor.org/ccjpa-board. All speakers, including the CCJPA board and staff, are requested to announce their name as they begin to speak. For public participation, participants who joined in person, if you would like to provide public comments, please complete a request to address the board form available at the entrance to the boardroom and hand it to the secretary before the item is considered by the board. For public participants who joined by telephone, your microphones are automatically muted. If you wish to speak on an agenda item, please dial *9, virtually raise your hand, then public comment is announced. When it is your turn to speak, you may need to dial *6 to accept the unmute request. And if you joined by Zoom, please use the raised hand feature if you wish to speak. If you wish to make a general public comment on a subject not on the agenda, you will be given an opportunity to speak under item 7. If you have a comment on an agenda item, we will take those comments after staff presentation. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per person, and we will be strident on that rule today. Comments which have been received by email by 3 p.m. on Tuesday have been provided to the board. I have 7 who've been sent in, and they will be included in the meeting record. Comments received after that time will be provided to the board following the meeting. Let's go to, before I continue, let's call to order and do a roll call.
Certainly, Chair Rayburn. Chair Rayburn,
Here.
Vice Chair Haudashelt,
Here.
Director Allen, Director Byrd,
Here.
Director Chapman,
Here.
Director Cohen,
Here.
Director Duffy, Director Freeriks,
Here.
Director Alma Hernandez. Here. Director Melissa Hernandez,
Present.
Director Holmes, Director Jane, Director Lee. Here. Director Maple, Director Saltzman, Director Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Haudashelt, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Be honored. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'll continue. And this is truly the report of the chair. As we come to the end of 2024, we have a lot of change ahead in CCJPA board. First, I would like to thank departing directors for whom this is their last meeting. Director Allen is not here, but she's been representing BART since 2017 on this board. Director Bevan Duffy, who is also not present, has been representing BART since 2017. And with us is Director Saltzman, who's been representing BART since 2014. Director Jim Holmes, representing the PCTPA since 2006, almost 20 years. Thank you, each of you, for your service and dedication to the Capitol Corridor. Next, I would like to introduce our 2 newest CCJPA board members. First, Tim Schaefer will represent Sacramento RT. In addition to his capacity serving on the Sacramento RT board, Director Schaefer is also a council member for the city of Citrus Heights. And Citrus Heights, Director Schaefer is logged in online.
Correct. I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And-
You're welcome.
You're most welcome. And secondly, David Cohen will represent Santa Clara VTA. In addition to serving on the Santa Clara VTA board, Director Cohen is a member of the San Jose City Council. we welcome you, Director Cohen, or Council Member Cohen, to the CCJPA Board.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman. First, I was excited to learn that Director Saltzman is going to be a city council member. That's hard work, all right? It takes active listening and things that, every BART board member knows. But I also wanted to thank you, because when I got on this board, everybody was a name, but I didn't know their history. And one of the greatest things I learned, and you shared with me, is the connection we all have here, in that you went to Sierra Gardens Elementary School in Roseville when,
Backyard.
in the backyard. Yesterday, I was at Woodbridge Elementary School, which was built in 1935. But I want to thank you for your leadership and how you helped me understand the mission and the focus of this board. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, Sierra Gardens no longer exists, and McClellan Air Force Base, where my dad was stationed, is no longer an Air Force Base. Finally, we need to elect our chair and vice chair for the next 2-year term. Before I open this up for a motion, I would like to express it has been my honor serving as the chair of the CCJPA board over the past 2 years with Bruce Haudeshelt, my vice chair. I am proud of the great accomplishments that we have made during my tenure, including most notably to continue the recovery from the pandemic. And we have continued to look ahead with major significant projects, whether it's bridges over the Carquinez Strait, solving issues along the Carquinez Strait, issues about serving Roseville, serving San Jose. These are all in the plans. And we have continued to look ahead with successful efforts to secure $34 million in federal funds and $14 million in state funds in just the past several months to support these service improvements. I look forward to continuing to serve on the board. And I appreciate the support that each of you have given to this committee. And I'll just add that Director Saltzman has been the president in the past years. And I also want to thank the staff who have ably supported this committee. The Capitol Corridor is a very nimble organization that relies on the administrative staff from BART to function on a daily basis. That's how we get things done. So with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to nominate the next board chair.
I'd like to, Mr. Chair, apologies, Director
Please.
Frericks online. I'd like to nominate Bruce Haudeshelt as to be the next CCJPA board chair.
Mr. Chair, I'll second. This is Director Chapman.
Thank you, Chair Frericks and Director Chapman. That closes this. Let's take a vote.
Do I abstain?
If you want to participate in this? Yeah. Good. Would you please call the roll?
Chair Rayburn,
Yay.
Vice Chair Haudeshelt,
Yes.
Director Byrd,
Aye.
Director Chapman,
Aye.
Director Cohen,
Aye.
Director Duffy, Director Frericks,
Aye.
Director Alma Hernandez. Aye. Director Melissa Hernandez,
Aye.
Director Holmes, Director Jane, Director Lee.
Yes.
Director Meeple, Director Saltzman. Director Schaefer.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
And next, I'd like to take a motion for the vice chair for the next 2-year term. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Melissa Hernandez as vice chair for the coming year.
And Director Hernandez, are you willing and able to accept this role?
Yes, thank you.
Would you please call the roll? Oh, please do. Yes.
Certainly. Chair Rayburn,
Please call the roll.
Chair Rayburn,
Yay.
Vice Chair Haudashelt,
Yes.
Allen, Director Byrd,
Go Dixon, aye.
Director Chapman,
Aye.
Director Cohen,
Aye.
Director Duffy, Director Freericks,
Aye.
Director Alma Hernandez, Director Melissa Hernandez,
Aye.
Director Holmes, Director Jane, Director Lee. Yes. Director Maple, Director Saltzman. Yes. Director Schaefer.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, everyone. That represents a smooth transition in power. And I look forward to the coming year with new Chair Haudashelt and Vice Chair Hernandez. Melissa Hernandez, since we have 2 Hernandez members on the board. That concludes the report of the chair. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's move on to the agenda. We have the consent calendar. I'll take a motion or comments.
A second.
Any discussion? Any public comments?
I didn't receive any speaker cards for this item, nor do I see any hands raised on Zoom.
Please call the roll.
Chair Rayburn,
Yay.
Vice Chair Haudashelt,
Yes.
Director Allen, Director Byrd,
Aye.
Director Chapman,
Aye.
Director Cohen,
Aye.
Director Duffy, Director Freericks,
Aye.
Director Alma Hernandez. Aye. Director Melissa Hernandez,
Aye.
Director Holmes, Director Jane, Director Lee. Yes. Director Maple, Director Saltzman. Yes. Director Schaefer.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Wonderful. Let's next turn to the action and discussion items. We have 2 items for action today. The first is item 5.1, the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit Administrative Services Agreement Renewal. I will recuse myself as I have in the ad hoc committee, and we had Director Haudashelt head up the ad hoc committee along with Matt.
Yes, Matt Click with
Click.
Placer County Transportation Planning Agency served it, and we had, and I would like to turn this over to Matt, who will take us through our discussion that we had regarding the Administrative Services Agreement. Matt, take it away.
Thank you, Vice Chair Haudashelt and Chair Rayburn. Good morning, everyone. Matt Click, Executive Director of Placer County Transportation Planning Agency, better known as PCTPA. And as the Vice Chair said, I did act as the lead staffer to the ad hoc committee. And I'm not one to bury the lead, so let me just begin with the action that we're going to be asking the full board today. And that action is going to ask to reselect BART as the managing agency of CCJPA. And I have 8 quick slides that we can go through, and then we can get into questions and answers relative to that. If I could get the next slide, please. Thank you. So members of the ad hoc committee included representation from BART, PCTPA, STA, and YOLO TD, and you can see their names there. If I could get the next slide. And just as a reminder, it was the Intercity Passenger Rail Act of 1996, which was the authorizing legislation that allowed for JEPA to create CCJPA. And the original managing agency of CCJPA was BART. And just by way of understanding too, in 1998, the Capital Corridor Service was officially transferred to CCJPA from the state. Next slide. And just a few reminders about the managing agency requirement and its history. The managing agency must be a public rail transit agency. The term for the managing agency is 5 years. And as you can see from the slide here, BART has been reselected after its original term 5 times. So in its history, BART has been the only managing agency to date. Next slide. And, you know, there is a very complex scope of work that the managing agency takes on in its role. I'm not going to read the entire slide to you, but I will point out a few key things. One, the role of the managing agency scope includes negotiating agreements. 2, implementing capital projects. And 3, and very importantly, providing administrative support as well. Next slide. And there are 4 staff roles of the managing agency as defined by the current ASA, and you can see them there below. The general manager of BART is the executive director of CCJPA, and then, you know, the controller treasurer is the controller treasurer of CCJPA, general counsel, etc. Next slide. And again, just by way of history, what happened last time? It was actually 5 years ago today that the last administrative service agreement was approved by the CCJPA board. It then went to the BART board. And I think what's really important for all of us to remember is that the term of the existing ASA expires February 19th of 2025. This board has got to take action first, followed by the BART board. So, you know, we come to you today with some sense of urgency as well. Next slide. And now moving into sort of really where we want to open it up and have any Q&A, it is the recommendation, and we are requesting that the full CCJPA board approve the renewal of the ASA with BART for a 5-year term from February of next year through February of 2030. And so why might you ask, did we make this recommendation as an ad hoc committee? I'll point out 4 things. One, we could not identify an alternative public rail agency that has performed similar functions other than BART. 2, when questioned in the ad hoc committee and in conversation, no ad hoc committee member knew of another agency that had expressed any interest in taking this role on. 3, there is no financial gain to CCJPA by switching administrators. The financial situation that we find ourselves in with BART as the managing agency would be the same with any other managing entity. And then just lastly, I do want to point out, and you will see it in the staff memorandum, that there is 2 recommended modifications to the existing ASA. And really, one is a recommendation change in scheduling. It's customer service improvement plans and levels of service, and you can read it in the staff memo. And then 2, and I'll just read this for the purpose of record. The other modification we're asking for is the general manager of the managing agency serving as the executive director to CCJPA shall consult with the board of the CCJPA when selecting the CCJPA managing director position or equivalent role. So the existing ASA language would carry forward unmodified with those 2 exceptions. And again, recommendation is to reselect BART. With that concludes my presentation. I'll stand ready for any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, and before I ask the directors if they have any questions, I want to thank Director Hernandez for her participation, Chair Rayburn for his participation, and I think Director Ferrix, this is either your 2nd or 3rd time going through this, so really appreciate having that sense of history. So, are there any questions by any of the directors in the room or
If I
online.
could jump in for 1 second, I just want
Yes.
to clarify one thing in the presentation. The two items that Matt mentioned were the historical ones that were changed last time. The two that are in the packet, the board packet, are to reflect the shared call center. And then secondly, the BART reorganization that added the CFO, the chief financial officer, would be indicated to support Capital Quarter as well. Thank you.
Thanks for that clarification. Any directors, any questions from any of the directors?
I have a comment.
Okay. We'll hold the public comment, or we'll hold the comments till after public comment. Mike Barnbaugh, you have 2 minutes. You're on the clock.
I've gone through several iterations of this since the beginnings under first Managing Director Bill Fleischer, shortly after Senate Bill 457 Hannigan was approved in the state capitol. BART has provided very excellent communication, outreach, and forums to riders and stakeholders of the Capital Corridor services for years. Recently, the corridor conversations, the ability to allow staff to outreach directly to riders and stakeholders, the ability to exchange our contact information from mobile phone numbers, emails, social media handles, has really improved the communication lines over the years, and really keeps everyone on their toes and on their feet. I want to thank from Managing Director Bill Fleischer all the way up to today to Managing Director Rob Paget for such an excellent team that you have developed, you have built, you have trained. Special recognition to the contacts that I've been assigned to Deputy Managing Director Leo Sanchez and Marketing and Communications Chief Priscilla Kalugden. Very open form of communication, discussion of how an agenda is developed to go before the board, service levels, pricing, food service, everything works very well. And I would strongly recommend that you adopt the motion before you for a new 5-year term to February of 2030. Thank you.
I knew you could do it, Mr. Barnbaugh. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you to close us out.
Do we have any other public comments online?
I don't see any requests.
Thank you very much. Please call the roll. Well, I need a motion
Comments, any comments?
or comments.
I had one comment that I wanted to include based on the ad hoc discussion. I wanted to just share out to the rest of the board and also members of the public. Part of the conversation included us talking about the service of the staff directly. I included, starting with our executive director here as well. We talked about from pandemic to this moment and how the challenges that this organization has faced to bring ridership back, to be innovative, to be forward thinking, and to understand the challenges of just transportation overall, and how you continuously deliver, and including not only reports back to this board, but also presenting challenges to us that we can help resolve, and also being very forward thinking with a lot of the plans that have been coming in front of us. So when we thought about, yes, transportation has a lot of challenges, the sense of confidence we feel with the staff here to continue with the CCJPA staying here, it was at the forefront of conversation. So I just wanted to include that. Thank you.
Apparently, we do have a comment online.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rayburn. Looks like we had a hand go up from Michael.
Michael, you have 2 minutes.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm calling on my phone, so can I do a mic check? Do you hear what I'm saying?
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay, yeah, just in the previous comments on the communications aspect of having BART be the manager, and all that. I really appreciate the overview. And I do appreciate Bart's willingness to come forward and handle this. But one thing I just wanted to find out if there was also representatives from law enforcement from the different municipalities and possibly like folks from, I don't know, AC Fire and the local fire departments, if they have some communication advocate for just to be as part of the process, because in terms of transportation, safety and wellness of our communities, I think they should also be appraised and, you know, have some input, maybe which would come from various municipalities as well. So I just wondered if those folks were included in all these different management selections, as far as having representation.
Thank you for your comment, Mike. I really can't engage in a back and forth discussion on that. But the capacity to perform at the level that the BART administrators do, which includes our CFO, Chris Gann, who's sitting, well, our controller treasurer, Chris Gann, our legal counsel, our district secretary's office, and our BART's general manager weigh in on the decision-making that goes on in a very small organization. And there are very few organizations that have that capacity to provide for us. Any other public comments?
Yes, we do have another hand. Shirley? Please go ahead.
Oh, hi. I'm a Fremont resident and my house backyard is right facing the train tracks. And
This is a comment on item probably 5.2. And so would you please hold your comments for that item? Thank
Okay,
you. Comments from the board? Motion?
Yep, Mr. Chair, I will move that staff's recommendation and that the board adopt a resolution 24-26 renewing the administrative support agreement between the Capitol Quarter Joint Powers Authority and the managing agency San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit for 5 years from February 2025 to February 2030.
Second.
This is Director Lee. I'll second.
Yep.
We have Lucas jumped in, I believe.
We have
Director Frerichs and Director Lee. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Chair Rayburn,
Yay.
Vice Chair Haddishelt,
Yes.
Director Allen, Director Byrd,
Aye.
Director Chapman,
Aye.
Director Cohen,
Aye.
Director Duffy, Director Freericks,
Aye.
Director Alma Hernandez,
Aye.
Director Melissa Hernandez,
Aye.
Director Holmes, Director Jane, Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Maple, Director Saltzman, Director Schaefer.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, everyone. The next item for action is the South Bay Connect final environmental impact report certification and approval. On the desk at the entry to the room are 2 volumes, New York size telephone book volumes that are filled with the substantial work that's gone on to prepare for this environmental impact report, as well as to document the public input on that report. And it's been, I think, very transparent. So let's turn it over to a presentation from Managing Director Rob Padgett.
Yeah, Rob Padgett, your Managing Director. I'm happy to bring to you the next item, the approval of the final environmental impact report for the South Bay Connect project. Today's decision is about whether this document adequately addresses identified impacts and mitigates significant impacts to less than significant. It is not a benefit cost judgment. It is a first and important step in moving this project forward. And at the back end of this presentation, I'm just going to clarify a couple of things that have come up in comments, but I want to first turn it over to Shirley Chen, who has been our project manager for South Bay Connect since the beginning of the effort. With that, I'll turn it over to Shirley.
Good morning. This is Shirley Chen, Principal Planner with the Capital Corridor Joint Powers Authority. Next slide, please. So to start off this presentation, I will just provide a quick overview of the South Bay Connect project to remind you what we are proposing. The project proposes to relocate the Capital Corridor from its existing route along the Niles subdivision, which is shown in the dashed blue line on the map, to a shorter, more direct route onto the Union Pacific Coast subdivision, which is shown in orange. As part of this shift of service, Capital Corridor will no longer be able to serve the Hayward and Fremont Centerville stations because those are along the Niles subdivision. And instead, we would construct and serve a new train station at Ardenwood. And this is in Fremont, but on the border with Newark. And this new station would be constructed adjacent to an existing park and ride that serves Transbay buses and shuttles that allows for a seamless transfer between Capital Corridor passengers for Capital Corridor passengers that wish to go to destinations on the San Francisco Peninsula. We are not proposing any frequency increases or changes as part of this project. It would remain up to 7 trips per one way for Oakland to San Jose. But in order to make this project possible, we have to propose some rail infrastructure improvements on the coast subdivision to make sure that both passenger and existing freight can operate efficiently and reliably on the coast subdivision. Next slide. And this project relocation will improve Capital Corridor efficiency and reliability because we are switching our service to a less congested route on the coast subdivision. Between the Niles subdivision and the coast subdivision, Union Pacific does operate on both of these. However, they use the Niles subdivision more frequently, and the coast subdivision is mostly used for local freight service. So by shifting the Capital Corridor service onto the coast subdivision, we would be reducing rail congestion and improving efficiency for both passenger and freight railroad. It is important to note that the project does not propose any changes to existing freight rail services. Click, please. This just shows the shift of the Capital Corridor service onto the coast subdivision. Next, please. Some more specifics about what we're actually proposing for rail improvements on the coast subdivision in the EIR. It's essentially a double track improvement along the coast subdivision, shifting and replacing 17 miles of existing track and constructing an additional track within the existing right of way. And along the way, improving 25 existing at-grade crossings and improving striping and signage, as well as replacing of existing gate crossing equipment, and as well as replacing and modifying existing railroad bridges and constructing new ones because we are proposing a second track. And it's important to note that this double track alternative is a conservative look at our environmental footprint. The actual improvements that will be constructed as part of the final project may be less in scope, depending on our discussions with Union Pacific, who is the right-of-way owner. Next. The Ardenwood station, as I mentioned before, would be constructed at the Ardenwood Park and Ride facility, which is at the intersection of State Route 84, Dumbarton Corridor, and Ardenwood Boulevard in Fremont. The station would include rail and bus connections, additional parking to be constructed, ADA ramps and other accessibility improvements, as well as pedestrian and bicycle pathways to better connect the station to the surrounding neighborhoods, which are mostly in light industrial or office buildings currently. The station is currently configured as a center boarding platform located between two tracks with pedestrian overcrossings for accessibility to the tracks and across the tracks. Next, please. So this project was originally envisioned in our 2014-2016 Capital Corridor Vision Plan. And we really kicked off the project planning and environmental process in 2019 and 2020. And now we are here at this final EIR certification milestone, which is very important for moving this project forward. We have additional final design to be finished in the next few years, as well as more additional construction years before this project can be operational. And it's important to note that we do anticipate seeking federal funding for this project. And so NEPA compliance will be completed prior to start of construction as well. This project timeline is subject to change pending funding availability. Next slide, please. Okay, now a little bit about the environmental impact report. We circulated the draft environmental impact report, or EIR, for 45 days between May 29th and July 15th of this year. Next slide, please. And we also conducted multiple public meetings, both virtual and in person, at the CCJPA board meeting on June 26, 2024. And during that comment period, that 45-day public review and comment period, there were about 311 individual commenters that submitted comments. And overall, we received over 800 individual unique comments in various forms: emails, website comments, verbal comments at meetings, etc. And here are the comment themes that we heard from, that we heard about. And I'm not going to go over all of these topics, but if there are any questions about individual themes, I'd be happy to answer questions about them. And board members, you do have additional slides within your packet that provide some details for certain topics. We prepared individual master responses for these comment themes that are referenced in different common responses in the final EIR. Next slide, please. So the final EIR has no major changes from the draft EIR, no changes to the project description or the findings. We did include some additional mitigation details that offered clearer commitments from the CCJPA. We included additional projects to the list of additional cumulative projects that we analyzed, as well as making some clarifying and minor adjustments to the documentation. Next slide. We released the final EIR last Friday, November 15th, and the final EIR includes draft EIR, the comments that were received, the list of commenters that commented on the draft EIR, our written responses to those comments, and related supporting materials. And those can be found online at the southbayconnect.com project website. And there is also a physical copy available for review here in the BART board room. Next slide. So the proposed board action today is twofold. The first one is to certify the state required final environmental impact report. And secondly, to approve the project to proceed to the next phase, which would be project specifications and estimates, PS&E. Okay.
And just, you go back to that. Yep. So just a couple of clarifications. Appreciate Shirley's presentation. We try to keep these really short at this board meeting, as you know. A couple of things I want to clarify, because we've had some confusion based on the comments I've received so far. First of all, the really important one to understand is this project will not impact the amount of freight traffic on this corridor. I know that is something that has been out there and circulating as factual. It's not correct. We are not making improvements that will change that. The freight market and the amount of freight movement in this corridor is driven by customer demand along the corridor. And in fact, I won't get into it today. There's a complex statutory rights for passenger railroads, which requires that we make freight railroads whole when we add service. So that necessitates that we keep the capacity where it is today. This will not change the level of capacity for freight movements, nor will it change the demand for freight. The second is on cost. I know we had a lot of comments about cost, very fair comments. Just a reminder that this project to get funded would have to compete on its merits with many other projects across the country. And it will go through a rigorous competitive process that includes cost benefit analysis. This kind of project would not happen without state and federal money. And almost all of the programs that fund intercity rail today are competitive. So, but today we're not making that decision. Today we're making a decision, as you heard from Shirley, about whether this document adequately documents the impact. So just a reminder to everybody who's listening, that's what's on the board agenda for today. And with that, we'll be happy to take questions.
Thank you, Rob and Shirley, for your tremendous efforts, and all the staff who put in time in creating this document. Before we go to board discussion, let's hear first from the public's commenters who filled out a yellow speaker card here in the room, starting with Michael Barnbaum and followed by David Ralston and Council Member Julie Roche.
Good morning, Chair Rayburn, members of the board, audience, and staff. Michael Barnbaum. First of all, thank you to Chair Rayburn prior to the start of the meeting for having an offline discussion with me about this item and the purposes of speaking to this and the points that were made offline. So I wanted to make those online and in the record. So a little bit of fact finding. This is not a new rail alignment for passenger rail services. As you saw in the slide presentation, I want to provide it in detail and stress that the Coast Starlight, operating between King Street Station in Seattle to Union Station in Los Angeles, travels along this coast subdivision daily in both directions, trains 11 and 14. So there already is support with passenger rail service, but it's only one train. So in order to go to the operation of additional trains between Placer County and Santa Clara County, these improvements are going to be necessary to move the project forward through the environmental document. And so is critically the Ardenwood Station in support for suggested connecting service with AC Transit's route on the Dumbarton Express between the Union City BART and Stanford University in Palo Alto, which would make one transit agency serving both major campuses in the Bay Area, Cal and Stanford, through either Emeryville or Ardenwood. So this is going to be very critical for passenger services in the future. So with that and those additional comments, I'd recommend adoption of this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnbaum. And next speaker is David Ralston. Welcome.
Good morning, Board of Directors and audience. My name is David Ralston. I'm representing the Broward Dellums Institute for Sustainable Policy Studies in Oakland. Our group has been working for over a decade with the Sobrani Park, Columbia Gardens, and Brookfield Village neighborhoods, which intersect this project for over a decade. And specifically, we've been working on the San Leandro Creek Greenway project, which just broke ground last week. Based on this project, we went to, and the EIR, we actually put in comment letter 231. We've been consistent commenters on this project against it over the last couple of years. We want to note our interpretation is that the FEI, the final environmental impact report is insufficient and inadequate. Basically, it violates federal and state environmental justice principles. And we ask the board to either accept the no project alternative or ask before certification that this project go back for further environmental justice analysis. For the record, we put in comment 231 comments on noise, transportation, acknowledging the 14 additional train passenger rail trips that will be going through the curve in Sobrani Park, impacting the neighborhood, the noise, the vibrations, the air quality concerns, public services, and particularly land use. And I'll specifically talk about the land use. We've been working with the community on safe routes to school projects and increasing safety accessibility from the 5 schools to the shoreline, which cross underneath the tracks. We asked that the land use analysis acknowledge that the Oakland's bicycle plan of 2019 included the San Leandro Creek project, which wasn't discussed in the draft EIR, as well as the county's community-based transportation plan. The final EIR did add, to your credit, the San Leandro Creek project back into the cumulative project list, but it didn't incorporate this into the land use analysis and how this project is actually impeding access. The Creek project and that trail that goes under the tracks was explicitly established to help mitigate the barriers that exist in this neighborhood. And now this project is only further detriment to that access that wasn't analyzed in the land use
I'll have
plan.
to ask you to wrap up.
Okay, so thank you for hearing this. And again, we ask you either consider the no project alternative or ask for further analysis on EJ, the EJ burdens of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, David. And next, Hayward Council Member Julie Roche, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Chair and Directors. I'm Julie Roach, Hayward City Council member. I may be a little late to the project here, but I really felt the need to come and speak to you. We have asked the board to come to speak in Hayward to hear from our residents and our businesses and our council about what this project might do to affect our community. And so far that hasn't happened. So we are concerned about that. We encourage you to do that going forward. But we feel this change is ill-advised. It's not only Hayward residents that are going to be hurt by this, but also people coming into Hayward to work and to use our retail. Hayward has been heeding the call for housing. We are building a lot of housing and then some, trying to answer the housing crisis. And we're doing it because we can build it along our transit corridor. That includes 2 BART stations and our Hayward train station. To abandon this now with the train station is short-sighted. You know, we're all hoping all of the local transit agencies will come back to a pre-pandemic level of ridership. And the only way to do that is build housing along these corridors, hoping eventually we get to some sort of saturation point and people finally turn to all of the rail and BART available. To move it now out to, you know, there would be no station right until Ardenwood. I mean, that's asking everyone to drive to a station after that park and then get on board. We're building housing along the way. We're all doing our part, Fremont as well. And so I think this is short-sighted and ill-advised. In terms of equity, to pull out train station from an economically challenged city like Hayward is to ignore your own stated efforts towards DEI. I mean, to put it along an area that doesn't have you know, lower income neighborhoods that are going to rely on transit to get to and from work, to and from school. Again, I think it needs to be looked at. You know, I urge you to take seriously our calls from our staff. I know they've been communicating with you. I know there are discussions with staff, and thank you for that. Our mayor and council and our residents to reconsider going forward right now. As a body, I know you have to make decisions for your agency going forward and what this all looks like. And this is a big, exciting idea. But sometimes I feel like big ideas like this are inadvertently, you forget to look at the common sense of it all. And I think that this doesn't make sense. I mean, it's a huge cost and you're going to be hurting communities along the way that have, you know, that are currently using it and have the potential to use it at an even higher rate. Please pause and seek further input from Hayward, from Fremont, and before you continue with this, look for localized discussion. Come to Hayward, come to our station, talk to residents nearby. Please put a pause on this before you move forward and hurt some of our local communities. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have speakers online?
Yes, we have several requests online.
Please continue.
We'll start with Carter. Carter, please go ahead.
Hi, can folks hear me?
You're a little bit faint.
Oh, okay. Let me get this a little bit better. Maybe that helps.
Yes, thank you. That's
Okay,
better.
there we go. Speak into the microphone. Great. Hi, I'm Carter Lavin. I'm the co-founder of the Trans Bay Coalition. And one thing about this project we want to really ensure is that nothing is done on this project that would prevent the future electrification of the route. And we would like to ask board to direct staff to design the project in such a way so it makes future electrification of this route a lot easier. Because at the end of the day, like as what we're talking about Hayward, there's all these trade-offs that you as a board are making. And when we electrify our tracks, we can run faster service, more frequent service, more reliable service, and you don't have to make these types of trade-offs. That it's easier to, if we wanted to increase service between San Jose and Oakland and Hayward and all these things, if it's electrified and going faster, much like we saw our friends on the other side of the bay with Caltrain, you are able to do more. And so as you make whatever choice you make today, we strongly encourage you to keep electrification in mind because a lot of these problems get solved if we electrify. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Lavin. Next speaker, please.
Sandra, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sandra. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I live in North Fremont near the railway, and whenever there's a train go by, my house will shake. And there were many times in the midnight or in the early morning, I was woken up and wondering if it's earthquake or if it's vibration by the train. And also with the increase, if there's additional station nearby, the noise, it will also disturb to the neighborhood. So this project overall, it cost over 700 million, but the benefit is very minimal. Yeah, it only save up to like 13 minutes. I think the project the money can be spent in a smart way. And also the traffic around Ardenwood to the 84 bridge, it's already very crowded. With the additional station over there, I cannot imagine how I commute to there to drop off my kids to the school in the morning and also pick up them later in the afternoon. And also in the past few years, I have noticed there were several fires in the railway. The most recent one is just a few months ago, which caused some of my neighborhoods, the backyard, the tree in the backyard was burned. So with double check and maybe in future increase the train frequency, I think there may be more fire hazard. So I ask the board to consider no project for this one. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next public speaker.
Shirley, please go ahead.
Oh, hi. I'm a Fremont resident, and my house was the backyard is right facing the train track, and the proposal plan will increase the train frequency daily trip, and this new trip will disturb our the peace of our neighborhood, disturb babies and seniors, and negative impact of our daily life. The once peaceful environment would be replaced with anxiety, stress, and harm to our mental well-being. And also, like the Ardenwood station at the exit of 84 is already very crowded, and I think the home will pass like far away, and then we have a lot of resident houses around there. So instead of spending on this project, we should prioritize improving our community safety by hiring like more police officers. Since like on our street we have 15 houses, but in the past 2 years my car was stolen and several cars have had their windows smashed and 3 different houses were broken into. So this is what happened in our street. So yeah, I object to this project. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Adrian, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, board members. Good morning, board members. I wanted to also second Carter Lavin's comment about electrification planning. Make sure that nothing is done to preclude or increase the difficulty or cost of electrification going forward. Electrification is a far superior way to go versus hydrogen, which I know the state is currently enamored with. Hydrogen is not clean, is 99% plus is being produced with petroleum products with CO2 emissions at the point of production. And green hydrogen is not cost competitive. Nobody is making it in any great quantity. And hydrogen also has fugitive emissions problems with it, also cause and exacerbate global warming. So green hydrogen is also extremely cost inefficient in terms of the energy losses at every stage of production. So just wanted to get that out there. The other comment that I wasn't planning to make, but I just noticed a major improvement that could be made to the Ardenwood station in your presentation clearly uses 3 elevators. You are buying yourself a whole load of extra, needlessly extra operating and maintenance cost. Elevators are notoriously unreliable. That station should be designed just like the Sacramento station or the San Jose station, which is elevator free, access to the platforms via underpasses. The vertical distance travelers must move is minuscule compared to going up and over the trains, which are very tall, and you have to leave room for a catenary in the future. So please consider, I know it's late, but redesigning that Ardenwood station with covered ramps that will not, and stairways, far shorter and will be far less operating and maintenance cost. Every station with elevators has tons of problems with those elevators on the Caltrain line, the BART line, et cetera. So that is just an obvious improvement that could be made there to make that station far less expensive to operate, far more reliable going forward, and just easier for passengers to use. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Brandt. Next public comment, please.
Beth? Beth, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, board members. Thank you for taking comment. I'm an environmental educator and I work with students in the Sabrani Park, Brookfield Village, Columbia Gardens area neighborhoods in Oakland. And I've also worked with them on the San Leandro Creek project, which David Ralston mentioned, and worked with residents on the general plan in Oakland, the environmental climate action plan. And what I have heard over and over for 10 years is that these students and families want to be able to access their public park and not have so many barriers to get there. Also, that the train tracks that run through their neighborhoods have major impact on noise, like heart issues because of the shaking, and as well as dumping that happens on the railway. They're very concerned about increased rail traffic, the impacts of air quality from diesel trains. Also, Sabrani Park is a community, I don't know if you've ever been there or if you live near a railroad, but this neighborhood only has basically one way in and out. There are 3 schools in the neighborhood that there's already a lot of traffic congestion, and there's 2 railroads literally that surround the neighborhood. And so they're dealing with both the freight and the passenger railroads, and traffic gets very backed up, which means also more air quality impacts. So there's land use concerns, transportation concerns, health concerns, noise concerns. Did I already say air quality? And not to mention in East Oakland, they're already highly impacted, cumulative impact. So we ask you to reject the EIR outright, or at least pause for further analysis on the impacts of these residents. Like the Hayward rep said, please come to the neighborhood and actually hear and see for yourself what kind of serious impacts this would have. Please don't hurt communities.
Thank you, Beth.
Others to just have a 15-minute decrease in their commute time. That's not a fair trade-off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beth. Next public comment, please.
Robin? Robin, please go ahead.
Yes, thanks so much for hearing the public comments. I align with other speakers about the impacts on the neighborhoods that the environmental impact.
Robin, you've dropped off.
Robin, are you there? You're still unmuted. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I was just saying that I'm aligned with the other speakers who say that we should actually look at the neighborhoods that are being impacted. I think through Sabrani Park area, with the impacts that were mentioned, the rail really needs to go underground as it did as BART does in Berkeley. And that would be appropriate, and possibly at the other points that groups are mentioning. The at-grade crossings are very dangerous, and the EIR only says that they're going to repaint them. And if the rail traffic gets up to the level it's supposed to in the plan, that would mean a train every 15 minutes, which would mean people would be stuck behind the at-grade crossings in that neighborhood all day long. So I think you really need to focus on that, and I think it would be great to pay some attention to these local areas who aren't otherwise really benefiting from the project, and it'd be a great way to avoid litigation in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Robin, for your comments. Next public speaker, please.
Barbara, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome.
Well, I've spoken before. I'm Barbara Halliday, the former mayor of the city of Hayward. And I'll just keep it to, first of all, apparently the media has got it wrong about Bay Area Transit needing money, needing an infusion of money, because clearly if you can spend $1 billion, which is pretty much what it's going to be, or more probably by the end, on a project, totally unnecessary project like this, you don't need money. And I can assure you that in the future, should you put a measure on the ballot and still be intending to go ahead with this project, we will make sure that all the people in Hayward know how our community has been disrespected by the Capital Corridor Agency in this regard and not listened to. And I doubt that you'll find much support in Hayward for such a project. The equity issue is huge, you know, and it was talked about by our council member, Julie Roche, earlier. Our mayor, Mark Salinas, asked you to come to Hayward and meet with the communities that are in this transit-oriented development that we built around this station. You have consistently refused to do that, refused to interact with the people of Hayward on this issue. And I think you might as well throw out equity in as a guiding principle that I know is in, you know, I know we put it in the Alameda County Transportation Commission plan when I was on that board. It's in the Plan Bay Area 2050. You are not living up to it if you do this to a community like Hayward. And finally, there are significant environmental problems with doing this, and not only environmental problems, but I noted that you're going to be having to do a lot of dealing with Union Pacific. And I'll just say that as a former elected official in this area, I have learned that Union Pacific is not the easiest organization to work with on anything. So I would strongly urge you to reject this, reject it at this stage, send it back for more analysis, but definitely not go forward unless you consult and come and meet with the people of Hayward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Halliday. Next public speaker, please.
Gian, please go ahead. You're unmuted. Please go ahead. Jian? Jian Zhang, please go ahead. You're unmuted. Yeah. Okay, maybe we can come back to Jian. Okay, we'll come back to you. All right. Okay, so the next speaker is Michael. Michael, please go ahead.
Hi, again, I am sorry for coming in a little bit earlier with some of my questions. This is Michael Freed from unincorporated Cherryland, which is part of Hayward, but I don't think any of these proposals actually have accurately addressed the environmental and safety aspects of all of our general plans, especially following what Mayor Holliday, ex-Mayor Holliday, just reiterated, was that the South Bay Connect has come forward to our communities on a couple of occasions. I've been present to those. I've put in my comments before about environmental justice, and I think it's really a disservice to our unincorporated communities as well that surround San Leandro and Hayward. We're constantly left on the back burners as far as transportation, health and safety, a bunch of things that are, thank you for your comments, now run along and we'll do what we want to do, is kind of the attitude that is perceived by our community. And I'm just speaking out as a private citizen that I've witnessed that with our community members that come forward and say, well, why don't they spend the money on improving and making an accurate, a real station out of the whistle stop that currently exists in Hayward, but certainly not lose it, because it's as part of the transit redevelopment that we're trying to do in this South Bay area, this East Bay, connectivity with Oakland and across the bay to San Jose and whatever else. I think it's a missed opportunity to not rebuild the infrastructure to suit the needs of the community that exists, not to just provide for the North Bay and the South Bay and the peninsula to get reconnected on a more expedient way in connecting the colleges. One other thing that I really would like to mention, regardless of whether it's freight or traffic or passenger traffic, is the dangerous intersections that exist along the current corridor. Those should be mitigated just tomorrow because of the, pedestrians that have been hit and people that are at risk along this corridor, which intersects any number of schools that butt right up against the train tracks. Anyway, just reiterating everything that's said before, and appreciate the possibility of moving on to a postponement of the decision, at least. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Please, speakers, keep your comments to 2 minutes. Next public speaker.
Okay, so Jen, you have your hand raised. We'll come back to you. Please go ahead.
Yes,
You're
can you hear
unmuted.
me?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, good morning. I'm Jian. I'm the Fremont resident. I have been involved in this process for several years, and actually I have shared my thoughts before there. I think I continue to object to this project due to the questionable ROI and its negative impact on the neighborhood. I don't want to repeat all my previous points here, but I do want to express some frustrations. After a very long process, I don't feel the EIR report had addressed all the concerns the neighborhood had raised before. Instead, the agenda seems just like moving forward regardless of the objections was raised. I think the objection was very strong. We have more than 300 comments there. And so please reconsider and address all those feedbacks. Please come to our neighborhood, our community, and talk with us there. It's not the time to move forward. We ask the board to reject the EIR and the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next public speaker, please.
Jenny, please go ahead, Jenny.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great. My name is Jenny Casarati, and I am the manager of the Sienna at Parkside homeowners association representing 332 homes in the Cannery Park area. As the largest HOA in the region, we represent over 800 homes, all located within a quarter mile of the Hayward Capital Corridor stop. Today, I speak on behalf of a community that feels deeply frustrated and disregarded. We previously informed this board that we were not contacted about the South Bay Connect project, and now, ahead of today's vote on the environmental impact report, we find ourselves in the same position, unnotified and uninformed. The only reason we learned about this meeting today was thanks to the former mayor, Barbara Holliday, who happened to read about it in the Haystack, and shared the information with us. The Cannery Park area includes a mix of homes. While our HOA may not be low income, the surrounding areas are. More importantly, this entire area is made up of minorities and limited English-speaking families who deserve to have their voices heard. This is a Title VI community, yet Capital Corridor has failed to meaningfully engage with us. Even the Hayward South Alameda County chapter of the NAACP was not informed of this meeting. Let's see. We are opposing this project because it threatens the health, home values, and well-being of our community. Removing the trains from the Hayward Capital Corridor stop will lower property values for hundreds of families who worked hard to invest in their homes. Studies show that proximity to commuter rail boosts property values for economic stability. More concerning, the replacement of commuter trains with more diesel polluting freight trains will harm the health of our children and families already facing high rates of asthma and other respiratory issues. Adding more freight traffic will increase air pollution, disproportionately impacting a community is already vulnerable.
Jenny, please wrap up.
Lastly, this project is not a good
Thank you.
public funds.
Next public speaker.
Alejandro, please go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, this is Alejandro Hasso, the vice chair of Bike East Bay and also president of local group Bike Hayward. And yeah, I just wanted to comment because I think the goal of this board is to make transit more sustainable, and removing this from a high density area is a mistake. You're gonna move this and try to rely on a new station, which is a park and ride, which means that you're trying to rely on people to drive to the station. Sure, there'll be a bus, but the current station has a beautiful connection from the Hayward BART. It's probably like one of the most beautiful connections along this route. The other closest one is Coliseum, which there's like a lot of crime, and it's not a very safe area. Like, especially if you're having to take BART and then wait for a train at the Coliseum station. It's not a very safe area. The connection between the Hayward BART and the current Amtrak station is beautiful. It's very walkable. It's bike friendly, and also, like as other people mentioned, Hayward's doing a great job at building this transit oriented development. And your target audience should be people that rely on transit, not people that drive to get to transit. So a lot of apartments in this area are being built, and those are the people that are less likely to have a car and more likely to rely on transit. So you should really look into the density of the new station compared to the existing Hayward station. You should go look at how the current Hayward BART station connects to the Amtrak station, and look how pretty that is, and how that area can like really become like a transit center for the heart of the bay. So please reconsider this and make sure you focus on transit-oriented development and not park and ride stations.
Thank you for your comments, Alejandro. Next public speaker, please.
Safa Raleigh, please go ahead. You're unmuted, please go ahead. Safa Raleigh, please go ahead. You are muted. Go ahead. Okay, we'll come back to you. Okay, we'll go to Teresa. Teresa, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, board members. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning. Hi, my name is Teresa Kang. I am the Fremont City Council member serving District 1, which is where the proposed Ardenwood station will be built. So just give you a little bit of background. In November 11, 2020, the city of Fremont had issued a letter to oppose this project because in the last 20 years, Fremont had upgraded our general plan to designate Centerville as one of our transit-oriented development areas of development. So with the with this updated general plan, we had invested tens of millions of dollars in this area and had approved many projects that have less parking and higher density, and with residents that are ready to utilize and the Centerville station. And now with the station moving, the proposed plan to move the station to Ardenwood, we just cannot imagine the impact it will bring to the neighborhood with just the construction and, the future station. And we're not seeing, that Ardenwood is not a high density area. And it would be a mistake to move forward with this project, and we've been feeling deeply disregarded in this process. And with our opposition letters that we have sent in, and I am curious, to know how many in these 800 comments that you receive, how many in support, how many in opposition, and you should really, I would ask you to reconsider and move forward this project. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next public speaker, please.
Okay, we'll return to Zafarali. Ahmed, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. Hi, my name is Zafarali. I'm a resident of the South Bay. Right now, Capital Corridor is not a reasonable alternative to driving to get to the East Bay from the peninsula. It needs frequency, speed, and ability to get to real destinations. So why not maintain the current alignment and the new one? Finally, as a person who has benefited from the electrification, trains are modern, the Caltrains are clean, less noise, and they don't have that vibration that a lot of people are complaining about. So I would like the board to consider whatever decision they make today to make sure that electrification is part of the future. This is the only way we can actually get the speed and the frequency that we need, as well as the cost savings. So thank you, everyone, and I look forward to riding on the Capital Corridor.
Thank you for your comments. Next public speaker, please.
Jonathan? Jonathan, please go ahead. Please accept the unmute request. Jonathan? Okay, we'll come back to you. Next speaker, Gerald. Gerald, please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Gerald Coffin. I'm speaking for the Bay Area Transportation Working Group. I agree that the people of Hayward should have a very high quality connection from Hayward, both to the south and to the north. BART is being extended southward from the Berryessa station right now, all the way through downtown San Jose to Diridon. That will make for an extremely attractive BART connection, assuming that the VTA project doesn't get roadblocked, which is a possibility. If there is not going to be a rail extension through San Jose because of cost problems, then I would have to come back to closer to what the people of Hayward are telling you. However, the idea of having two railroad trains on the same set of tracks, when you can create a shortcut that eliminates or reduces a lot of the conflict with Union Pacific and still maintain a good connection at both ends for Hayward, because at the north end, the connections from BART to Capital Corridor is not that great either. That needs to be worked on. And finally, one last quick thing, Ardenwood, okay, that's not ideal, but it could work, but there has to be more attention paid to the quality of the connection between Ardenwood across the bay into Redwood City and Stanford University. It can't be just get off the train and be dumped on some crummy bus stop and then jammed in traffic across the Hayward or the highway bridge. That is not enough quality for a high quality rail system connection. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Cawthon. Next public speaker, please.
Okay, we'll go back to Jonathan. Jonathan, please go ahead. You're unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yes, hello. My name's Jonathan, and I just wanted to echo some of the earlier comments around electrification. Watching Caltrain's example, we've seen benefits of a shift from diesel to electrified trains. The new electric trains are quieter, which I'm sure a lot of the people here on this call would appreciate, making for a more pleasant experience for those riding and those who live and work near a route. They're cleaner, and they're also faster than their diesel counterparts. So, Caltrain is adding more stops along its route and reducing headway time because of the electrification. And again, the overhead electrification is the gold standard across the globe for both passenger and freight. But we seem to be, or at least the state seems to be focused on experimental technologies like hydrogen, which are problematic at best. So, I want to advocate for overhead wire electrification along the route. And then particularly now that AB 2503 was signed into law that exempts electric rail projects with existing rights of way for passenger service from any CEQA reviews. That should streamline the process to do so as well. So whatever decisions are made, I just want to echo some of the earlier speakers in advocating for overhead electrification long-term.
Thank you for your comments. How many more speakers do we have in queue?
We have three more speakers.
Thank you. Please continue.
Young Gang,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. So my name is Yun Gang. I'm a Fremont Planning Commissioner. I'm also want to echo the previous concerns that not only environmental, but also economical impact to to Fremont and also Hayward, where are considered more populated, and we are moving this two stations to one into a less populated area. And I know that the Capital Corridor don't pick up a lot of passengers from Fremont, but there's no evidence show that you can pick up a more passenger from Ardenwood either. Also consider the job of the Hayward station. We have both invested a lot, multi-millions of dollars to this transit-oriented district, and all the money will be wasted if you move this train railway. Yeah, please not only consider the environmental, but also the economical impact to all the current stations. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next public speaker, please.
Liz, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Liz Ames, your BART director. And my concern with Ardenwood, it's really a substandard intermodal station. If you compare it to Hayward, Hayward's connecting BART to Capital Corridor. Centerville connects ACE with Capital Corridor in Fremont. We don't get a train-to-train connection at Ardenwood. We get a bus depot. The buses are not reliable. They're not seamless. The buses get stuck in traffic and don't connect directly to Caltrain. They have to wind its way through cities. So Capital Corridor's vision implementation plan shows ideally we wanted to connect to Dunbarton Rail, which is not at the Ardenwood station. So this is a substandard location. Furthermore, as far as freight mitigation between San Jose and Oakland service area, this was documented in Capital Corridor's vision implementation plan. And it shows that if Capital Corridor takes over a portion of the railroad right-of-way that reduces the capacity to increase freight. And you have to mitigate freight and add the capacity back in. So that's why you're double tracking on South Bay Connect to Newark. That allows for 24 to 28 trains daily for freight trains to be able to increase their capacity, serve the Port of Oakland. Also, going to Newark to Oakland is there's another bottleneck there. So because there's a bottleneck right now and there's a need to add capacity for Union Pacific to grow their freight operations, just like we want to grow passenger rail. Your own vision implementation plan proposes 55 to 60 freight trains daily between Coliseum to Fremont. And then it turns over into Niles Canyon, going through Pleasanton, Livermore, all the way into Stockton. This is a huge impact that's not being identified. It was never even communicated to the community. Frankly, it's disingenuous to support this project without documenting your own vision implementation plan that shows the freight increases in the South Bay. It's tremendous. And I hope that this project does not move forward. And in addition, there are no.
Thank you, Director Ames.
I just want to say there's no grade separations proposed with this project, and your own vision plan calls for 15 grade separations along the Newark area, Newark to Oakland, and 7 grade separations.
Thank you, Director Ames. Your time is up.
Fremont. Thank you.
Next public speaker, please.
We have 2 more hands up. Go to Navpreet. Navpreet, please go ahead.
Okay, hi, my name is Navpreet. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Navpreet Kabra. I'm a resident of Hayward, and similarly to what has been mentioned by Hayward elected officials and former elected officials, I feel like there hasn't been that much engagement in the Hayward community. And for me personally, I grew up like not driving, and I didn't get my license until after I graduated college. So for me, I took the Capitol Corridor to Santa Barbara from the Hayward location. I've also taken it to Sacramento for work. I've had nonprofits I've worked with that do advocacy at the Capitol, and they're able to do a trip from the Hayward location and bring youth to the Capitol in order to be able to advocate. And I feel like for me personally, the Hayward station has been very pivotal in order for me to like get around, not just in the Bay Area, but also to Sacramento, to Santa Barbara. I've also taken it all the way to LA. And I've met several other college students that have also taken the Capitol Corridor from the Hayward station and also the Centreville Fremont one. So my primary concern is that I'm concerned about the discontinuation of the service from the Hayward location and also the Fremont. And I would like to see more community engagement within the Hayward community, just because I believe that particular station does provide a lot of connections throughout the Bay Area, but also other parts of the state that folks won't have access to, especially given my own personal experience using that station. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next public speaker.
Anthony, please go ahead, Anthony.
Hi there, my name is Anthony. I'm a Capitol Corridor rider from Berkeley. I'm hoping the EIR will be certified today and that we continue discussing about the value of South Bay Connect. As a Capitol Corridor rider from Berkeley, I'm definitely excited about much faster trips to San Jose. I'm also excited about the Ardenwood station with the BRT transfer to a 84 express bus. And I know South Bay Connect is one of the more cost-effective rail improvements we can make to the speed of Capitol Corridor. So I hope you'll keep it on the table while addressing the concerns people are raising today about other ways to improve transit to Hayward and Fremont. I also think it's really important that the vision be maintained to potentially electrify this route in the long term. So let's keep making improvements to Capitol Corridor speed so it's a frequent and nice express route for everybody in the Bay. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Anthony. Next public speaker, please.
Next hand is Lon Lon. Please go ahead. L-A-N. Apologies if I mispronounced, but please go ahead. You're the next speaker in the queue and I'm sending the unmute request. You're unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lan Lan. I'm here today. Just want to say I'm strongly against South Bay Connect project. The reason have been listed by the speakers before me, and also there are over 115 pages of objection comments listed in the EIR report. I think the board members can see it, and I don't want to waste time to say too much. Just want to let board members to stop this project. And please don't propose this project again and again. It happened several years ago and propose again this year without too much change. So that's it.
Thank you for your comments.
There are no additional hands raised.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public comment session and turn to board members. In person, anybody want to lead off? Director Salzman?
Just could staff talk a little bit more? This has been going on, this project's been going on for a long time, and I know there's been a lot of community outreach, but just since that was brought up again a lot in the public comment, and thank you for everybody who commented today. Can you detail for us the outreach you've done in Hayward and the surrounding areas?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I'm going to have Shirley talk about what we've done historically. And I also want to just mention, this is not the end of this project. So we are going to continue to have a lot of engagement. And in fact, I've been in touch with the mayor in Hayward about doing a presentation at City Council probably in January. So I want everybody to be assured that as we continue to move into the details of this project, we will continue to have active engagement. But I would like Shirley to talk a little bit about what we've done to date.
Yeah, since the beginning of the project, our focus on outreach has been to city staff as well as local stakeholder groups, not necessarily at the ground community level, but with those groups that represent community groups. So in 2020, we met with multiple mayors along the corridor, along the project corridor, as well as made, city council presentations at several of them. We met with the Cherryland Community Association and presented the project to them. And in 2021, we met with other stakeholders as well and formed the community working groups that are a collection of different community members and that represent their own neighborhoods or their organizations to kind of be as a collective group for us to present information and for them to distribute project information to their representative represented individual or groups. And so that's how we have structured our outreach so far. It's really at the group level. And we did all of this as part of the scoping, the environmental scoping period in 2020 and 2021, and as part of the draft EIR public review period. And I just want to mention that, there was a comment about a community member not having received communication about the project. As part of our draft EIR outreach, we did direct mailers to 560 regional stakeholders and over 15,000 property owners within 500 feet of the project corridor. So we did, so that is all the details of the outreach that we have done for the draft EIR is included in the final EIR.
Just a point of clarification. How many feet away from the?
500.
500. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. you know, I obviously do understand the concerns of the folks in Hayward. I do want to mention, I don't know if lines got crossed, but I, as a board member, have never been invited out by Hayward to come to one of their meetings on this. I, of course, would have come. The former mayor and the current mayor have my cell phone number and talk to me frequently. So I'm not going to be on this board any longer. So you probably don't want me out there now, but I'm sure other board members here would be happy to come to Hayward if invited. So please extend that invitation. And again, and sorry if, you know, somehow that got missed. I think, you know, what's important beyond whatever we do with this EIR is to consider how to improve access with Hayward if the station does go away. It's important to remember that Hayward has 2 BART stations, which are very well located, and it's fantastic to see what the city is planning to do with housing around those stations. The tricky part is, of course, folks can get on at either the Hayward stations and go to Richmond BART and have a really easy connection, but they're much closer to Coliseum BART. And the connection there is, you know, leaves something to be desired. Of course, we're going to be talking about in our next item on Link 21 with that project, which is further into the future. Part of that is improving the Coliseum transfer, which really does need to be improved. So I think as this project advances, it would be important to consider, and I'm not saying add this to the EIR, but to consider, is there more that can be done to improve the Coliseum transfer so that even if the Hayward Capital Corridor station goes away, it's still quite easy. You know, Coliseum Station is just a few stops away for Hayward. So if people could make a really easy connection there without a whole ton of stairs, I've made that connection there. It's just not, it's not that easy. So if we can improve that connection, I think that could alleviate a lot of the concerns of Hayward without taking away the huge improvements that would be made possible with this project. So I hope whatever happens today, those conversations are ongoing and we look for potentials for funding of improving that connection. And of course, improving that connection doesn't just help Hayward, it helps everybody in Southern Alameda County, folks in Oakland, you know, even as far as Berkeley, people who don't want to kind of backtrack to go to Richmond, or it just doesn't make sense to go all the way to Richmond, which again, the transfer there is easy. I make it all the time at Richmond. So yeah, I don't know if you have comments today on that, but I hope that that will be something moving forward. And I think that is an opportunity for this agency to work more closely with Hayward to address some of their concerns while still advancing this project.
Yeah, thank you. Duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to appreciate all the comments today. They were very focused, concise, constructive. And I want to point out, you know, the EIRs are very legal constricted documents. And you've done an excellent job in responding to comments here that you heard during the process, some of which were also raised again today. And I think your mitigation modifications reflect your responsiveness and your sensitivity to the communities you'll impact. And with that, I'm ready to move forward with a recommendation if the rest of the board's ready to move. And that would be to support staff's recommendation.
I'll second. Next, other discussions? Anyone online?
Yeah, Mr.
Director
Chair.
Frerichs.
Yeah, just a really
please.
quick comment. So appreciate all the public comment today. And I think this is, again, yes, you know, one of many steps along the way on a project like this. You know, and I think it's just important to note, though, that we are really today being asked to decide whether or not the environmental impact report is sufficient or not, right? It's like that's the smell test. It's not about do you support the project or not support the project. It's about that is the very sort of fine question that we were being asked. And so I believe, I mean, in having read it, and it's there, any of us that have read EIRs, it's a lot. But yeah, I think it is absolutely a suitable document and adequate and legally passes muster. So supportive of our action today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that comment. Other comments from board members?
I just have a quick comment. This is Director
Please.
Hernandez. I wanted to also make the statement that Director Saltzman said, is the fact that this does not preclude, this EIR does not preclude from Capital Corridor staff to make sure that there's outreach to all entities, especially Hayward and Fremont. I do appreciate all the comments coming forward. This is only my second meeting, but just wanted to make sure that it's really important for me, even as a former mayor of a city, outreach is always a priority. And I think it's really important for the surrounding cities that are being affected, that are really well aware and understand what's going on. So again, I would recommend that staff be out there and make sure they make it a point to meet with not just groups, but with each and every one of the council members as well.
Thank you. Other comments from board members? Seeing no hands raised, I'll just make a comment that I think the process, it's been ongoing for over a decade now, that the Capital Corridor Vision Plan was first discussed in person in the southern Alameda County. I remember meeting with a number of people down there, and it's continued. And I think the process of soliciting the input, we received substantial comments from particularly the Bay Conservation and Development Commission. And I think the responsiveness in the report is superlative, and added maps showing connections with the Bay Trail and such. So I think that we've done a due diligence approach. And again, the environmental impact report is very constrained to only look at what are the impacts of this project on the environment. And you've done a good job on that. I'm ready to call for the vote.
Okay, thank you. And Chair Rayburn, just for clarification for myself, this is going to be a motion and vote on the certification, and then we'll need another motion and second and vote for the approval. Okay, so regarding the certification, we will now go to roll call vote. Chair Rayburn?
Yay.
Vice Chair Haudashelt?
Yes.
Director Allen? Director Byrd?
I'm going to abstain.
Director Chapman?
Aye.
Director Cohen?
Aye.
Director Dufty? Director Freericks?
Aye.
Director Alma Hernandez?
Aye.
Director Melissa Hernandez?
Abstain.
Director Holmes, Director Jane, Director Lee? Yes. Director Maple, Director Saltzman? Yes. And Director Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries with Directors Byrd and Melissa Hernandez abstaining.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the motion or discussion for approval of the EIR.
Yes, for approval of the project. Yes, we need a motion and a second on that item, please.
Move to approve the project to proceed to the next phase.
Anyone else? I have a second. I'll make the second.
Moving to the vote now, Chair Rayburn,
Yay.
Vice Chair Haudashelt,
Yes.
Director Allen, Director Byrd,
Stay.
Director Chapman,
Aye.
Director Cohen,
Aye.
Director Dufty, Director Freericks,
Aye.
Director Alma Hernandez,
Aye.
Director Melissa Hernandez,
Abstain.
Director Holmes, Director Jane, Director Lee. Yes. Director Maple, Director Saltzman. Yes. And Director Schaefer.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries with Directors Byrd and Melissa Hernandez abstaining.
Thank you very much, everyone. Let's continue with the discussion of the Link 21 capital project update?
So we actually have legislative and funding update next, but
I'm
I am
sorry.
fine deferring given in the interest of time. I know we may lose quorum soon. There's information in your packet on legislative updates if you want to refer to that. And with that, I'm going to bring my team up here to talk about Link 21. This is really an important step in this project. It represents a milestone for several reasons. First, you will hear today a recommendation on technology as standard gauge rail. Secondly, the project is an important inflection point related to that technology recommendations with a shift in day-to-day management to Capital Corridor in partnership with the state of California with the continued support of BART. We were fortunate to receive an $11 million grant through the TIRSA program, the Transit Intercity Rail Capital Program, to support Link 21 and the Corridor ID program. But as importantly, this project is highlighted in the soon-to-be-released state rail plan and is highlighted within FRA's recently created Corridor ID program. Both the state rail plan and Corridor ID provide a mechanism for further project development and support this investment as a critical link within the state's overall rail system. With that, I'll turn it over to the team here who will go through an update on this project.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Rob. I'm Brian Soland from Barton. Happy to be speaking here with you today, joined by Camille Sao. So I'll start off with a very brief overview of the Link 21 program. The program is focused on solving these important challenges with the rail network, including limited rail connectivity to key mega regional destinations and issues with equity and capacity. Our program is built on these key elements here: a new crossing between Oakland and San Francisco, improved rail connections and service, collaboration with our stakeholder and partner agencies across the mega region for coordinated rail improvements, and it's supporting key goals around climate and housing that are part of the state and regional plans. We've reached an important milestone, deciding on the train technology for the crossing, either standard gauge or broad gauge. And our analysis, engagement activities, and equity work have supported a conclusion that standard gauge is the preferred technology in the crossing. Importantly, a standard gauge crossing aligns with both the 2024 State Rail Plan and the Federal Railroad Administration's Corridor Identification and Development Program, which qualifies Link 21 for future funding. So Link 21's conducted extensive technical analysis comparing standard gauge and broad gauge technologies for the crossing. There are some similarities as well as differences. In terms of similarities, they both contribute to equitable outcomes, benefiting priority populations. They both improve access to stations and jobs and add transbay capacity and redundancy for riders. But some of the key differences here: only standard gauge improves mega regional connections, which is a primary challenge that we're attempting to address with the Link 21 program. Standard gauge is interoperable. It will allow multiple systems and operators to use the new crossing. And standard gauge better amplifies other planned rail investments, projects like the Portal project in San Francisco, downtown extension, and a new Carquinez Strait rail bridge. As we progress, we'll continue to monitor considerations like ridership, cost, and funding opportunities. These things will evolve as the project details become more defined. With that, I'll turn it over to Camille.
Morning, directors. Camille Tsao. I'm just going to talk about the different types of train service that can be operated on both standard gauge tracks and BART broad gauge tracks. One, we have urban metro service, which we define as frequent local service. This is provided by BART and electrified Caltrain today. We also have intercity/express service, which is operated on standard gauge. Capital Corridor is an example of that. It tends to be less frequent. The stations are further apart. But the advantage of standard gauge is that you can operate both urban metro and intercity express on there. The next few slides are just concept maps, one standard gauge crossing, one for the BART gauge crossing. And the important point here is that you have urban metro in the green lines, intercity express in the purple lines. Click again, please. If you look at the
the pink lines that show up. Yep. The pink lines represent the potential for service that could use a new crossing. So you'll see here that the mega regional reach is greater when you have a standard gauge crossing. Again, you can have both urban metro and intercity service with this. The next map, again, also just a concept, but for a broad gauge crossing, it would provide more service through the BART system. Please click. But only BART trains could operate on this. So in terms of mega regional travel, you do have a little more limited service in terms of mega regional reach. And then finally, for community engagement, we've been conducting community engagement since the start of this program, but this is just a summary of what we've done this year. We've reached out to folks around the mega region, not just within the Bay Area. We also conducted a public opinion poll, or sorry, a public opinion survey last fall, which asked people about different features that would be provided by either the BART gauge or broad gauge, BART gauge or standard gauge crossing. And we found that the responses were very positive, not just towards Link 21, but also towards a crossing that could provide the benefits that the standard gauge crossing would provide. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Rob Paget, our managing director.
And I know we're rushed today. I will say we are going to do this again tomorrow for BART directors. You'll have another opportunity for anybody listening in. You can listen to the BART board meeting, and we'll have a special guest, Chad Edison, the Deputy Secretary for Rail and Transit, at that meeting as well. As I mentioned earlier, this investment plays a pivotal role in the long-term vision for passenger rail in the state, as outlined in the forthcoming state rail plan to be released within the next few weeks. Important to remember is that this missing link will serve far more than Capital Corridor, and provides a connection between regions that will allow for frequent trips. For this reason, CalSTA and Caltrans plan to take a leadership role in this strategic priority. Next slide, please. This next slide is important to focus on. So if you pay attention to one slide today, I'd say this is the one to pay attention to. When you look at trips on the right column here of more than 50 miles, just 2% of trips in the state are more than 50 miles, but those represent 24% of vehicle miles traveled. And for those of us who work in the rail business, BART, intercity rail business, this is really an important point to make when we're thinking about our climate strategy. It is those long trips where we're really going to make a difference. And it is why many of these investments are worthwhile. Go to the next slide, please. The state rail plan sets a vision for corridors that have been identified as part of the newly created Corridor ID program in FRA. It is through this program that projects will be identified and then funded in part through federal resources. The best parallel that I'll draw to this process is the regional metropolitan planning process. We do not have that for intercity rail, but the idea is to really think about systems when we're planning projects going forward. This project is an important part of Corridor ID, but understand again, this is a system planning effort that will include this link as well. Next slide, please. Just keep going. And then lastly, for the next steps in this program, we are framing this as part of the state rail plan and the Corridor ID process. Within this framework of standard gauge rail, we intend to further develop the project. We also intend to bring some of the innovation that we've had in public engagement. As a lot of you who've been involved in Link 21 from the beginning know, we have really pushed equity on this project. And I think a lot of that innovation we can learn from and bring into the Corridor ID process. So we intend to continue to do that, but expand some of that approach to the overall system planning effort. And with that, we're going to wrap it up and take questions.
Thank you. This represents a monumental advance by selecting standard gauge for Northern California rail service. Do we have any public comments?
I don't believe we have any in-person comments, but we do have 4 hands at the moment online.
Let's go to the comments.
So we'll go first to Dominic.
Hi, board. This is Dominic Bendinelli. Thank you for hearing my comment today. I will keep this quick. I would strongly urge you to support the standard gauge as was the recommendation. With the recent massive success of the Caltrain electrification and the passage of Assembly Bill 2503, I think it's a perfect time to start that robust planning for electrification for the larger system. So that is my comment. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you for your very brief comment. Next public speaker, please.
Liz Ames, Director Ames. Liz
Hey
Ames,
there.
please go ahead.
Liz Ames, Director, BART Director. So I just want to elaborate again on the Capital Corridor Vision Implementation Plan. There are freight mitigation concepts in there. And this did take a while for me to understand because I've been asking about freight impacts on day one for this project. Because we're using a freight corridor. And when we occupy a passenger rail system on a privately owned freight corridor, we have to restore the diminished freight capacity, which basically means if freight wants to expand to the Port of Oakland, they want to expand to the Port of Stockton, Benicia, Antioch. There is a freight expansion plan that can't happen when passenger rail is occupying the freight rail. This is why Capital Corridor created these freight mitigation concepts. This was not discussed at any level to any board of supervisors, elected officials, the BART board specifically. And I don't even know if this board knows about this plan because it was developed in 2016 and adopted then. But essentially, Rob Padgett can explain this more, but there is a law that you have to provide additional freight mitigation for the potential expansion of freight operations because freight wants to expand they want to make a more efficient system to connect to the ports. So I would love to see this plan before this moves forward because we do not have enough information to make a rational decision. You need to know what's happening with freight. And unfortunately, this didn't happen with South Bay Connect, and I hope it happens with Link 21. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have two more public comments, and then I'm going to take general public comments, items not on the agenda. And we will close the meeting immediately after those general public comments.
The next speaker is Anthony. Please go ahead.
Hi there, my name is Anthony. Once again, I am a transit rider from Berkeley. I am feeling hugely positive about the choice of standard gauge for Link 21. I think that's the right technical choice, not only for the new crossing, but also for Geary Metro, which is now freed up to be more of a light urban system that comes more frequently. And I am so excited to hear that CalSTA and Caltrans plan to take a leadership role in Link 21 moving forward. I think that's the right jurisdictional level to avoid conflicts between Caltrain, who doesn't have jurisdiction in the East Bay, or BART, which runs a broad gauge system. I think this is really a statewide project, and I hope that there will be more discussion about what that leadership role is going to look like. I hope that there will be a programmatic approach to improvements to our regional rail system. I really think we should be looking at the Vallejo crossing to get regional rail service there. We should be looking at how we get regional rail service to Tracy. These are all integrated into how this crossing is going to be built. As we go forward, I hope that we will plan to maximize the capacity of the tunnel. That means a train at least every 3 minutes. So if there's problems with the freight railroads and we need to be planning on terminating high capacity metro service in downtown Oakland, we should be doing that. And we should focus on a cost-effective alignment. There is no way we should plan on building an underwater and underground Y underneath Jack London Square in the Oakland Inner Harbor. We want this project to happen. I'm 32 years old and I would like it to be done when the actuarial tables say I can ride it. So let's please move this forward, and thank you so much for taking this action today.
Thank you, Anthony. Next public speaker on Link 21.
Adrian, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I wanted just to speed things up. I echo pretty much everything the prior speaker said. Standard gauge is absolutely the right way to go for interoperability reasons. And I just wanted to add on the subject of propulsion. I know freight railroads are very leery or opposed to electrification. And I would suggest that the board and the staffs look seriously into what's called discontinuous electrification, at least initially, to get around that objection of the freight railroads. And that is using technology that Statler, a Swiss company that provided the Caltrain equipment, has that allows trains to recharge. These are battery powered trains that can run off of catenary and recharge while in motion or stationary, simply by raising the pantograph wherever there is some discontinuous segment of overhead contact system. What could happen on the Capitol Corridor is you have stations rolling in and out of stations that can have sidings for passenger trains built that have the catenary, so that the trains can continuously juice up a little bit at each station stop, and then be able to use Union Pacific or other freight railroad tracks without the complication of dealing with trying to get them to permit catenary over their tracks. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to shift to general public comments. Items not on the agenda. Any,
I don't see any in-person requests, but I do see 2 hands on Zoom.
please continue.
Okay. Liz Ames, BART Director, please go ahead.
Hi there, Liz Ames, BART Director. So I would encourage of the Capitol Corridor folks here to really examine the priorities of Capitol Corridor. I think the top priority for Northern California is the replacement of the Martinez Benicia Bridge. I've met with the ports, Oakland, Richmond, Benicia, Stockton. They want to, Benicia and Stockton want to expand, and they have complained about that bridge because it crosses the Carquinez Strait, and you've got ocean freighters that can barely clear the bridge. So the prior general manager of Rob wanted this bridge replaced at that time. And I really think this should be a state priority. We don't want to see an accident happen where if an ocean freighter hits the bridge. It was designed and it was built in 1930. And it is a hazard for both freight and passenger rail. So I really don't really want to see it linked to another project like Link 21. It should be a standalone project that happens immediately. And the state knows about this project. I've talked to them. I've talked to Capitol Corridor staff, and I hope that the board agrees to spearhead that project over other projects that are being discussed right now. Thank you.
Next public speaker.
Jeffrey. Jeffrey, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for your patience, everybody. My name is Jeffrey Beeman. I'm a retired scientist from Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and I'm a rail advocate. I've worked in renewable energy storage, have built fuel cells, and have studied the solutions that are needed for climate change. One thing I can tell you, I'm gonna bend your ear about hydrogen for a minute. Use of hydrogen for powering trains is a super bad idea. Here are the reasons. Number one, producing hydrogen from renewable electricity and then converting it to transportation is around 35% efficient. That means we throw away almost 2/3 of the available energy to move people and cargo this way. Electrified rail is 90% efficient, which is an incredible number for any kind of conversion like that. Number two, the myth that California produces so much renewable energy now that we throw away the excess is pure fiction. I had a little discussion about that after the last meeting with the Capitol Corridor. In 2023, California produced 40% of our electricity via fossil gas. This is because AI, crypto, and electrifying our economy is challenging to the grid, and the efficiency matters more now than ever. So 90% efficiency is a huge thing. Technology for electrified rail is old and bulletproof. It has been used for decades and is being celebrated in the South Bay right now, as you know. Every other industrialized country in the world is going this way for very good reasons. Does it cost more to set up? Yes. Is it a hassle to deal with Union Pacific? Yes. Will it pay for itself over time? Yes. Will it allow faster, more efficient, more frequent service? Yes. Will future generations appreciate that we made the best decision possible when it comes to electrifying Capitol Corridor? I hope so. So thank you for looking at the standard rail for Link 21. I hope that it includes catenary, and I hope we work extremely hard to electrify Capitol Corridor. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. And we've gone over time and we've lost our quorum. And so with that, I think
We still have quorum at the moment.
we do have
Yes,
quorum.
yes, but if we lose
Oh.
somebody, we're gonna lose our quorum.
And any other public comments?
No, there are no other hands raised.
Well, I spoke too soon. Any board director reports?
Move to adjourn. Move to
Oh,
adjourn.
yes, yes, it is, but we have ample opportunity to comment tomorrow.
This is
Okay.
different. Sorry, I do want to comment. I'll have different comments at the BART board tomorrow.
Director Saltzman,
I
you
mean,
have the floor.
I have to leave too, but I guess I want to urge the future Capitol Corridor Board to bring this back really soon next year. I told BART staff this. It's exciting that we have this decision point, but I think this presentation leaves something to be desired. There's not a lot about like what's next and how do we actually make this happen. So I think it's very important. So much energy and time and money has been put into this project so far. We need to communicate very clearly now that it's sort of not a BART project anymore, how Capitol Corridor and the state are going to move forward. So I would invite Chad or somebody from the state to come back to a meeting early next year and really start to figure this out. Because it's like, great, it's in the state rail plan, but so what, how do we actually make it happen? So I know it's going to take a very long time, but I think it's really important to come back and explain to the public what's next, how we're going to make this a real thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Saltzman, and as always, your comments are very substantial. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, I'm going to adjourn, and our next meeting will be chaired by President Haldeshell.
President.
Oh,
Whoa.
No.
Do I need a
Okay.
transition
It's a
team?
chair. We did.
did that.
We
Yeah.
did. And it's over. So we'll see everyone on February 19th in 2025. Thanks, everyone, for moving the needle forward.
All right. Good to see you all. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah.
Yes. We're still talking about,
Yeah.